If you've ever put on a dress you know is a nice dress, looked in the mirror, and felt like something was a little off without being able to say what, this one's for you. 9 times out of 10, it isn't the dress. It's one small styling habit quietly working against it. Take this one. Buttoning your blazer all the way up when you wear it over a dress. Most of us do it because it feels neat and finished. What it actually does is erase your waistline completely. So instead of looking put together, you end up looking like you're covering something up. That's mistake number 1. And there are 6 more just like it. Small habits that undercut a good outfit without you ever noticing why. I go through my own closet with this exact list, so this isn't about whether a dress was expensive or cheap. It comes down to a handful of specific choices, and once you see them, you can't unsee them. Subscribe if any of this sounds familiar, because number 4 is the one that surprised me the most when I started paying attention to it, and it applies to almost every dress you own. Every one of these 7 comes down to the same 3 things: fit, proportion, and intention. Keep that in the back of your mind as we go, because it's the thread that connects all 7, not 7 random tips. Let's start with that blazer. Here is what is actually happening when you button a blazer all the way up over a dress. You're erasing the waistline. A dress is built with some kind of shape in mind, even a simple one. And the moment you cover that shape with a straight boxy line of fabric buttoned to the collarbone, you have flattened the whole silhouette. The eye no longer sees a woman in a well-cut dress. It sees a rectangle. The fix is simpler than it sounds, though it might take a try or 2 in the mirror before it feels natural instead of undone. Leave the top button undone, or better, leave the blazer open entirely and let it hang loose around the dress, or add a thin belt at the waist if you want a bit more structure. Any of those 3 options lets the shape of the dress do what it was designed to do, which is show you have a waist and the outfit was chosen with intention. A blazer should frame the dress, not replace it. This isn't about showing more skin or being less covered. It's about proportion. An open blazer with a beautiful dress underneath still reads as completely appropriate and elegant. A buttoned blazer reads as someone who grabbed a jacket because she felt exposed, not because she chose it. Mistake 2. Matching your bag exactly to your shoes. This next one is where I see even women with great style habits slip up. This one surprises people because we were taught for decades that matching your bag and shoes was the mark of a put-together woman. It used to be true. It is not anymore, and here's why. When your bag is the exact same color, the exact same finish, the exact same material as your shoes, it starts to look like a set that was bought together for the express purpose of matching, which comes across as formal in a dated way rather than elegant in a current way. What reads as expensive now is an intentional near match or an intentional contrast. If your dress is navy, a cognac bag with black shoes looks curated. What you want to avoid is the identical everything, because identical says I bought this as a matching set instead of I put this together myself. Try this the next time you are getting dressed. Lay out your shoes and your bag side by side before you commit. If they look like they came from the same box at the store, swap one of them for something with a slightly different tone or texture. That one small adjustment changes the entire impression of the outfit. Mistake 3. Trusting a busy print to hide a wrinkle. Now here's one that's less about the outfit and more about something we all quietly ignore. This is one of those habits that made sense at some point and then just stuck around. The thinking goes, if the fabric has a lot going on, a wrinkle will disappear into the pattern and nobody will notice. Unfortunately, the eye does not work that way. Wrinkles catch light differently than flat fabric does, regardless of what pattern is printed on top of it. So even in a busy print, the texture of a wrinkle still shows up as a shadow and a crease. It just shows up in a way that looks unintentional rather than in a way that looks like part of the design. This matters more than people expect because fabric behavior communicates quality faster than the pattern itself does. A wrinkled floral dress gives off the impression of a dress that hasn't been cared for. A crisp floral dress in the exact same fabric reads as something considered and well kept. The print is not doing the heavy lifting here. The condition of the fabric is. The fix takes 2 minutes before you walk out the door. Steam the dress, even the printed ones, even the busy ones, especially around the shoulders, the collar, and anywhere the fabric folds when it hangs. A handheld steamer is worth keeping by the closet door specifically for this. It is a small step that has an outsized effect on how expensive an outfit looks. Mistake 4. The default knee-length hem. Here's the one I promised you earlier, and it is probably the most common mistake on this entire list because it comes from good intentions. Somewhere along the way, knee length became the safe hem length, the one that is never too short and never too long, and so a lot of us default to it regardless of the dress or our own height. The problem is that knee length is not universally flattering. It is a specific length that only works well on a specific proportion, and when it lands in the wrong spot for your particular height, it visually shortens the leg and interrupts the line of the whole outfit. What actually determines whether a hemline looks elegant is not the length itself. It is where that length falls relative to the narrowest part of your leg. For most women, that narrowest point is either right at the knee or a few inches above it. A hem that lands a little below the widest part of the calf or right at the widest part of the knee tends to look heavier and less refined than one that lands at the narrowest point, regardless of how nice the dress is. This is the one worth spending real time on because it affects every dress in your closet. It also takes a bit of trial and error. You probably won't nail your exact number on the first try, and that's completely normal. Try it on 2 or 3 dresses over the next couple of weeks, and you'll start to see the pattern in your own body. The way to find yours is to try a dress on and look specifically at where the fabric falls relative to your leg's natural narrowing points, not at some universal rule you read once. If this is the kind of detail that is actually shifting how you think about your wardrobe, that is exactly why I do these breakdowns. I already know one of these 7 is going to get some pushback in the comments. Tell me which one you actually disagree with because I want to hear the case for it. I read every single one, and it genuinely shapes what I cover next. Remember, fit, proportion, and intention. That's the thread running through all of this, and it's exactly what the next one comes down to too. Mistake 5. Stacking multiple statement pieces. This is where things shift from what you're wearing to how you're wearing it. Jewelry is one of the easiest places to accidentally undo a great outfit because more does not read as more elegant. It comes across as competing for attention. When you wear a bold necklace, large earrings, and a stacked bracelet all at the same time, the eye does not know where to land. Instead of the jewelry elevating the dress, the jewelry starts arguing with itself, and the whole look feels busy rather than intentional. The principle that works almost every time is this. Pick one statement piece and let everything else recede. If the necklace is bold, the earrings should be small and simple or skipped entirely. If you are wearing statement earrings, keep the neckline of the dress clean and skip the necklace. This is not about wearing less jewelry overall. It is about giving one piece the spotlight instead of splitting it 3 ways. This is also one of the fastest fixes on this entire list. You do not need to buy anything new. You likely already own a version of the one statement piece in your jewelry box right now. The skill is in the editing, not the shopping. Before you leave the house, look in the mirror and ask yourself which single piece you would keep if you could only wear one. That is usually your answer. Mistake 6, visible foundation lines under clingier fabric. Now here's the part that actually makes this work, and it's the one nobody can see coming until it's pointed out. When you wear a dress in a knit or a jersey fabric, anything with a bit of stretch and drape, the fabric follows the shape of whatever is underneath it. If what is underneath is a structured undergarment with visible seams or panel lines, those lines show through the dress, even faintly, even if you cannot fully see them in a quick glance in the mirror. In photos and in person under direct light, they show up much more clearly than you would expect. Those faint lines do something specific to the overall impression of the outfit. They interrupt the smooth line of the fabric, and a smooth, uninterrupted line is one of the biggest visual cues we associate with a well-made, expensive-looking garment. The moment there is a visible seam or a compression line cutting across that smoothness, it registers as slightly off, even if no one can say exactly why. The fix is to reach for seamless foundation pieces, specifically when you are wearing anything clingy or draped. You probably don't have these in every color and cut already, and that's fine. You don't need a whole new drawer overnight. Just start by replacing the one or two pieces you reach for most, the ones under your go-to dresses. You do not need this for structured fabrics like a stiffer cotton or a tailored dress with its own built-in structure. This is specifically for jersey, knit, and anything with real stretch and movement, where the fabric has nowhere to hide a seam line. Mistake 7, pairing a dressy dress with everyday flats for comfort. And last, the one almost everyone has done, usually for a completely reasonable reason. You have a beautiful dress for a nicer occasion, your feet are tired of heels, so you reach for a comfortable everyday flat because comfort matters and it should. The issue is not the flat itself. The issue is when the formality level of the shoe does not match the formality level of the dress, and that mismatch pulls the whole outfit down to the level of the shoe rather than up to the level of the dress. A dress that is clearly meant for a nicer setting, in a fabric with some shine or drape with more tailored details, needs a shoe that matches that same energy. That does not mean you have to wear an uncomfortable heel. It means looking for a shoe that is dressy in its own right even without height, something like a low block heel, a refined leather flat with a cleaner silhouette, or a dressy sandal depending on the season. The goal is matching formality, not matching height. Think about the kind of dress you'd wear to a Sunday service, a work event, or a family gathering where you want to look pulled together. That's the formality level we're talking about. The easiest way to check this before you leave the house is to ask whether the shoe would look at home with your most casual outfit as well. If the answer is yes, if that same flat would work just as easily with jeans, it is probably too casual for the dress you are pairing it with today. Dressy dresses need shoes that look dressy without needing the height. So that is all 7. The blazer that closes off your waistline. The bag and shoes that match a little too perfectly. Trusting a print to hide a wrinkle it cannot actually hide. A hemline set by habit instead of by your own proportions. Jewelry that competes with itself instead of complementing the outfit. Foundation pieces that show through fabric they were never meant to be worn under. And a comfortable flat that quietly undercuts a dress that deserves something dressier. None of this means every outfit will be perfect from now on. You'll still catch yourself doing 1 or 2 of these on a rushed morning, and that's fine, that's normal. The point isn't perfection, it's noticing. None of these come down to money. Every single one of them comes down to fit, proportion, and intention, which means you already own most of what you need to fix them. If this changed the way you are going to look at your closet, subscribe, because next I am breaking down the 5 colors that are quietly aging your entire wardrobe without you realizing it, and that one is linked right here.